但以理书第5章 over the ignorance concerning the result of the debauchery 荒淫放荡 before God and the insult to his holiness. Blasphemers, debauchery 荒淫放荡 before God and his insult to his holiness. Verse 1. Belshazzar, the king made a great feast for 1,000 of his lords, and he drank wine before the 1,000. Belshazzar, under the influence of the wine, commanded men to bring the gold and silver vessels that Nebuchadnezzar, his forefather had taken out of the temple which was in Jerusalem, that the king and his lords, his wives, and his concubines make drink from them. Then they brought the golden vessels that had been taken out of the temple of the house of God, which was in Jerusalem, and the king and his lords, his wives, and his concubines drank from them. They drank wine and praised the gods of gold and of the silver, of bronze, iron, wood, and stone. Amen. The writing by the hand sent from God. At that moment, the fingers of a man's hand came forth and wrote opposite the lampstand upon the plaster of the wall of the king's palace. And the king saw that part of the hand that wrote. Then the king's countenance changed, and his thoughts alarmed him. Amen. And the joints, 腰骨, of his hips loosened, and his knees began to knock together. Amen. The king cried loudly to bring the conjurers, 用法术 conjurers, the chaldeans, and the diviners, 观照的人. The king responded and said to the wise men of Babylon, any man who reads this writing and declares its interpretation to me shall be clothed in purple, and shall have a chain of gold around his neck, and shall rule as the third ruler in the kingdom. Then all the king's wise men came, but they could not read the writing, nor make its interpretation known to the king. Then King Belshazzar was greatly alarmed. His countenance was further changed, and his lords were perplexed. Daniel's interpretation of the writing of the wall. The queen mother, because of the words of the king and his lords, came to the banquet house. Amen. The queen mother responded and said, O king, live forever. Do not let your thoughts alarm you. 你的心智不要惊慌. Do not let your thoughts alarm you, nor let your countenance change. Because an excellent spirit and the knowledge and the insight and the interpretation of dreams, the declaring of riddles, 能够释谜语 riddles, and the resolving of problem were found in this Daniel, who the king named Belteshazzar. that Daniel now be called, and he will declare the interpretation. Then Daniel was brought before the king. The king responded and said to Daniel, "Are you Daniel, one of the captives of Judah, whom my father, the king, brought from Judah? Now I have heard about you that a spirit of the gods is in you, and that light and insight and the surpassing wisdom are found in you. And now the wise men, the conjurers, have been brought in before me that they might read this writing and make its interpretation known to me, but they cannot declare the interpretation of the thing. But I have heard about you that you can give interpretations and resolve the problems. If you can now read the writing and make its interpretation known to me, you shall be clothed in purple and shall have a chain of gold around your neck, and shall rule as a third ruler in the kingdom." Then Daniel answered and said before the king, "That your gifts remain with you, or give your rewards to another. Nevertheless, I will read the writing for the king and make the interpretation known to him. Regarding you, O king, God the Most High gave to Nebuchadnezzar, your forefather, kingship, greatness, glory, and majesty. And because of the greatness which he gave to him, all people, nations, and the language trembled and feared before him. Whomever he wished he slew, and whomever he wished he kept alive, and whomever he wished he raised up, and whomever he wished he brought down. But when his heart was lifted up and his spirit became so arrogant that conducted himself in pride, he was deposited from his royal throne, and his glory was taken away from him, and he was driven from the sons of man, and his heart was made like that of the beasts, and his dwelling place was with the wild donkeys, and men fed him with grass as they do bulls, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, until he came to know that God the Most High is the ruler over the kingdom of man, and sets over it whomever he wills. And you, his descendant, Belshazzar, have not humbled your heart, though you knew all this, but you have exalted yourself against the Lord of the heavens. And they have brought the vessels of the house before you, and you and your lords, your wives, and your concubines have drunk wine from them, and you have praised the gods of silver and of gold, of bronze, iron, wood, and stone, which do not see, nor hear, nor know, but the God in whose hand is your breath, and to whom all your ways belong, you have not honored. Then that part of the hand was set from before him, and this writing was inscribed. And this is the writing that was inscribed: Mimi, Tekel, Avarasim. Amen. This is interpretation of the matter. Mimi, God has numbered your kingdom and brought it to an end. Tekel, you have been weighed in the scales and found to be lacking. Peres, your kingdom has been divided and given to the Medes and the Parisian. The Belshazzar commanded, and they clothed Daniel in purple, and put a chain of gold around his neck. And they made the proclamation concerning him that he should rule as the third ruler in the kingdom. The destiny of Belshazzar in that very night, Belshazzar, the Chaldean king, was slain, and the Darius the Meda, received the kingdom and about the age of 62. Amen.